I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Are you ready?
Welcome to Heinz Seniors Coaching Up. Get access to the P3AK High Intensity Training ebook and its exclusive video tutorials. Commit with Heinz's coaching right now and be provided with a year of meal plans, training programs, and more. www.p3akday.com. There is no room for the littles. Welcome to Heinz Seniors.
Welcome back to another edition of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest is our two-time Women's Physique Olympia champ, Sarah Villegas. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me.
I love those little medals and those Olympia medals in the backdrop there. I'm like I'm drooling over them myself just looking at them. Sarah, you essentially retired Shanique Grant, who might have been one of the best women's physique Olympia champs of all time. You out-conditioned her, you beat her in a very close battle. She didn't defend, or she didn't try to come back, I guess, and regain her title. You won again this year, very convincingly. You're the most dominant women's physique competitor now out there. How does it feel to be at the top of the mountain, so to speak?
It's kind of cliche, but it feels great. It was, like you mentioned, it was a really close battle in 2020. And that was my first Olympia win. So that was very, very special for me. And then I think to come back this year and defend it was a completely different kind of experience. I don't know if I could say which one is better. But yeah, being a two-time champion is definitely a little bit sweeter, I think, than maybe being just a one-time. It was really cool.
You're you're like a real stickler for conditioning, and I love that about you, because I don't think I've ever seen you out of shape any show you've ever done. You've always been right on, spot on the mark. And I tell people that, the only things you really have control over are conditioning, presentation, and tanning, and you seem to nail the details, and I think that's why, the judges really have been rewarding you. Is it hard for you to get in shape, or is it a battle and you just are relentlessly always, giving 100%?
I'm human just like anybody else. Cardio is always going to be hard when you're in those, last, 6 weeks. I think, maybe what sets people apart is just people say, I work really hard and this and that, but, maybe it's just not enough. So like I said, I'm human just like anybody else. And it's just one of those things that you just have to do it. You kind of have to turn your brain off and when the world title is at stake, nothing should stop you. Nothing should stand in the way. It doesn't matter how tired or hungry or whatever the case might be. It's just, you just gun it and you put your foot on the gas and you don't stop until it's over. So.
Yeah, whenever I interviewed Iris Kyle over the years, she's a 10-time Miss Olympia, the winningest Olympia champ of all time. So I always did, when I first started interviewing her before I really knew her, I thought that she just was a genetic freak, because she always had such great conditioning. And then she was telling me she was doing 3.5 hours of cardio a day, and she was waking up at 2 a.m. to do it. And I'm like, this girl is just working harder than everyone else. And you would think because she was so good that it just came naturally, but it didn't. She was like a Ronnie Coleman that had the genetics and the work ethic, and it seems like you fit into that category as well. You have great genetic structure, but you work really hard for what you're getting, and what you're doing.
Of course. Talent only gets you so far, and what good does it do you if you're not able to, put it to use? Excuse me, you definitely have to, I don't care what kind of genetics or talent or whatever you have, if you don't put in the work ethic to present that in the best light, and it's only going to get you so far.
Yeah. Now, you put out a post. You put out a post when Shanique had first retired, and you threw a reward out there essentially for her. Look, how much money did you throw out there when you wanted her to compete again?
For Shanique Grant?
Yeah. What was that? How much money did you offer?
That was $20,000.
Yeah, okay. So you offered Shanique 20 grand to come back and try to do the Olympia again, figuring it would make for a more interesting battle on stage, which it would have, of course. She obviously turned that down and didn't take it. This year, however, the Arnold Classic people pulled the women's physique event. I don't know why they did that. When you noticed that, you put up another $20,000 of your own money, and you said, look, I'll put this up as prize money or as a sponsor of the event if you guys will hold it. Now, it sounds like an offer that they couldn't refuse or they can't refuse. I don't know if they will refuse it or not. But what was the impetus behind that? Trying to support the sport? Or, I mean, tell me what your mindset was on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you said. It's very simple and very straightforward. When I learned that the women's physique wasn't going to be held at the 2022 Arnold, it didn't feel good. And I am Miss Women's Physique. And so, just wanting to, exactly like you said, support the category and just maybe offer a solution to help bring it to stage. The only thing that, the only reason or the explanation that would make sense to me is maybe, something financial. I said, okay, well, I'm willing to cover that. Just to, like I said, have women's physique at the Arnold stage.
Right. What was the prize money at the Arnold for the women's physique athletes? Do you know?
So it wasn't the last, couple of years. It's been around like $10,000-$11,000. And so I was, I put double that. I said,
yeah, you covered everything basically. Yeah.
Say it again.
I said you were covering everything, the whole top 5 placings essentially.
Yeah, of course. Because I don't see why they shouldn't be on the stage. And I would hate for, a financial burden to be the reason why they can't.
Yeah.
And so that's where that came from.
Now it's kind of sad that Miss Olympia has to put up the prize money. But you know what? It's so generous of you to do that because some people say, well, she's putting up the money, she's going to win anyway. But you're not, because you're putting up all the prize money. And I think I wanted to make that distinction. You're not just putting up first place, which then you're going to shove in your pocketbook. You're putting it up because you want to support that division. And you know what? I don't think if I'm the Arnold people, I would actually, say, you know what? I'm going to hold it anyway. Just because I think a lot of promoters don't hold divisions because they think the athletes don't give a crap and they don't promote it and they don't really care. But obviously, if Miss Olympia cares that much that she's willing to take the cash out of her pocket and put it up for the prize money, I have to believe that this division is worth holding as a promoter. Wouldn't you say?
I mean, I would have to agree. I'm going to backtrack and you say, that's very generous offer of you and things like that. And, it's really, honestly, it's really not all that generous. It's honestly, I'm indebted to the category, the league and this women's physique division had, I'm sitting here talking to you as a 2-time Miss Olympia champion.
Right.
I'm a world champion at, in women's physique. And I would not have that if it weren't for this division and if it wasn't for the league who, hosted that division. So how do you not pay it forward and give back and, just continues to, the women's physique. I'm so fortunate to be in a category that is growing and so flourishing and so popular. We have more pro shows than we've ever had before. Obviously, along with that, there's more prize money,
right.
Just such great representation across, the entire country and obviously internationally as well.
Yeah.
The Olympia this year was, you look at the lineup and the quality of the talent of the girls was just, you can list 15 girls that were all, worthy of the first call outs. Mm-hmm. The treatment that we received from them at the Olympia was just bar none, red carpet.
Sure.
So, I'm just so fortunate to be in a place where, in such a dominant era of the women's physique. And like I said, it's given me so much. How do you not just pay it forward and give back?
Right.
The Arnold Classic it holds a lot of prestige. And so I don't think that any category should be left out.
Yeah.
And, obviously, again, I'm, partial to women's physique being, from that category. So I just said, hey, what can I do to bring it to the stage?
Sure. I did that with at the New York Pro years ago. They had gotten rid of the women's bodybuilding because they felt like it wasn't bringing enough money. And I, as with Species Nutrition, was sponsored for I think 2 or 3 years. I put the prize money up, and Steve Weinberger added it back. He said, "Okay, that's if you're going to sponsor it as a nutrition company, I'll add it back." And he put all the prize money. Put all the sponsorship money right into prize money. He didn't put anything in his pocket because he also wanted to see women's bodybuilding. It just had to be financially feasible. And the New York Pro doesn't have an amateur division, so there had to be a business model there. And I did that just because I didn't want to see it die. And so I think that's very generous. And you actually said if the Arnold people decide against it, you'll take that 20 grand and spread it out to some of these other shows, right? Which shows did you say you would add it to for prize money?
Well, definitely. So last year I started the Women's Physique Distinction Award in my name. I awarded it at the Texas Pro,
okay.
Which is held in Dallas. So this year I'm going to be doing it again. So it'll be the second annual award. And last year the prize money for that was $5,000.
Wow.
So this year I'm doing that for 10. And then I have a couple other shows in mind. I haven't, made any, definitive decisions yet.
Right.
Obviously, there's some more logistics to that of, reaching out to promoters and things like that.
Mm.
But, like I said, I just want to give back and support this category that's given me so much already. And I think it's a great way to encourage talent and encourage, participation. And it's just, like I said, the women's physique, we're booming, we're dominant right now.
Right.
And it only makes it better.
Right. Now, what would, everyone always asks me whenever I want to do my crazy cockamamie schemes in my head, what's the business model? What's your business model to give that money? Is it just a generous donation, or do you have is there something behind that, donation?
No, look, I'm a fan of bodybuilding before. I'm a, women's physique Miss Olympia. So, we all together, we make this community. Bodybuilding is so special and unique in that it is such a tight-knit family. We're growing and we're huge, yet we're still very, very, just close-knit. And, anybody who does bodybuilding, they do it because they love it. Anybody who follows it, they follow it passionately.
Right.
And so it comes out of just for the love of the sport. I love seeing for example, last year when I went to the Texas Pro, that was probably the first time in a while that I had gone to a show as a spectator, and being able to go and watch the girls and then go backstage and see some of them when I was not competing. It was just just very fun and different experience that I hadn't had in a while. So that's really just out of the love of the sport. And I know I keep saying it, but just this is like a sliver of what I can give back to. Like I said, I'm sitting here 9 years ago before I even started bodybuilding. I didn't even have the dreams to be a world champion in anything.
Yeah.
And so to sit here as a 2-time, Miss Olympia champion, it's just, I have to pinch myself sometimes because I just realize is that really me?
Yeah. I think it's just amazing that you would take your prize money that you won at the Olympia, and you just here it is. I'm going to give it back into the division. That's to me, that's truly, magnificent to have that kind of, love of the sport. And when I see someone like that supporting the sport, I think it really sends a message out to the rest of the division that you guys all have to contribute if you want to keep the sport healthy and growing. And I'm glad that that you're willing to do that. And I really hope the Arnold people respond positively to the gesture and consider putting the division back in, because it is interesting. I like to watch the women pose. Your routines are great. They're better than the men's routines, that's for sure. Everyone's always in great shape. It's a great show. I think the fans love it. I think there is something that to be said for that. I mean, I like the fitness routines, and I like the women's physique routines. And I think the bodybuilder women always put a lot of effort into their routines as well. I wish they would bring that back. But Jake Wood seems to be doing a good job keeping those girls in business. So I think they're going to be healthy and around for quite a while as well. So Sarah, I got to just say, congratulations to you for doing that. And once again, congratulations on the second Olympia win. Now, if they do have this Arnold Classic Women's Physique, will you be in the event?
Actually, full disclosure, I will not.
Really?
And well, this year, outside of bodybuilding, my husband and I, Ali, we actually we run a couple of very successful businesses, and just right now we are in a position where we have a lot of expansion going on. We're doing a lot of new things, and it's just to tend to that, plus my training, and to add to that, a contest prep. It's just not the right time this year.
Right.
But nonetheless, I want to see, just like you said, I'm a fan of bodybuilding before I'm a competitor. So just to see the girls and to see the representation, like I said, the Arnold is, considered to be the second most prestigious contest out there underneath the Olympia. And I think that all the categories should be represented. With that prestige is earned. It's not just given.
Right.
And so I think that, everybody should be represented at that.
So we'll see you on stage, I assume, at the Olympia next December then.
Of course, absolutely.
That gives you plenty of time to relax a little bit and get your bearings and make some improvements. Do you want to get bigger, or are you happy with the look you bring to the stage?
I'm very pleased with the look that I bring to the stage. That's one thing that's very, women's physique is not just about being the biggest. The judging criteria is very specific and lined out, and that you want full muscle bellies, you want symmetry, you want roundness, fullness, deep separations, subtle striations. So they're very clear in the criteria of what they're looking for. And it's not just all about size. Yes, we do have to present a lot of muscularity, but there's a lot more that goes into that. So really just, refinement, roundness, just really kind of filling out the physique in the areas that it has the potential to, and just come back and hope for a three-peat.
Hey, I hope you do well. Your battle with Shanique reminded me of the old Linda Murray, Kim Shizevsky battles back in the day, and I maybe she'll come back, maybe not. You got great new talent in that division, and I think it's only getting better and better. So you gotta watch these young bucks that are going to be nipping on your heels coming up next year. But best of luck in your training throughout the year, obviously. And once again, I applaud you for what you're doing to the women's physique division and the money that you're donating and stuff like that. Arnold people, here's your chance to respond. Let's see what happens.
All right, thank you, Dave.
All right. Guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With. I'm Dave Palumbo with Sarah Villegas, Miss Olympia. We'll see you next time.